All right, welcome everybody to the StackMap integration with Koha and Aspen Discovery webinar. My name is Jessie Zarrow, and I'm the Director of Library Sales and Outreach here at Bywater Solutions. And we're very excited to do a joint presentation today with Alexa Roy. Hi, Alexa.
Hello.
We also have with us Bill Kessler, who is our Aspen sales consultant. What we'll do today is we'll kick things off by just talking a little bit about what StackMap is. We'll show you the background of Koha and Aspen Discovery so you can see how both of those integrations work. And then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. So I'm going to pass the mic to Alexa just to talk a little bit about what StackMaps is and just give a little bit of background about what they do.
Wonderful. All right, I'm going to share my screen.
And for those of you that have questions along the way, please feel free to use the chat box or Q&A.
All right, excellent. Can you see my screen at this point? It has the blue bar across the top. Excellent. Yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Alexa. I work with StackMap. I'm the Director of Sales and Product Marketing. If you've ever stopped by our booth at a conference, I've probably been the one that is there. It's either myself or one of my colleagues. But it's great to be working with Bywater today to talk about our integration with their catalog and discovery. So what we're going to do, just for some background, I've been with StackMap for going on 7 years now. And before that, I was also a librarian. Just like most of us on this call. So I worked in public libraries and academic libraries. I even worked in a hospital library at some point. So some fun background, mostly on the East Coast. I was in Connecticut and Rhode Island, and then I moved out to the West Coast, and that's where I started my work with StackMap. Super interested in user experience and improving the user experience in a library. So that's where wayfinding comes into play. And what we do is we can map anything in your library space. So we can map your collections, we can map your spaces and places, computers and rooms. Today, we're going to be particularly focusing on mapping your collections and integrating with Koha and Aspen. But after that, we'll also just talk a little bit about other spaces and places you might be interested in mapping. So the first thing I always like to do is just go over what does the integration look like? So we're going to take a look at StackMap integrated with Koha, as well as StackMap integrated with Aspen. We'll talk about what goes into setting it up, and I'm going to hand it off to Jessica to, after that, go over what it looks like on the back end of Koha and Aspen, which is really exciting for me because that's not something I always get to see. So I'm really psyched about that part. So let's jump right in. Currently, you should be seeing Brooklyn Law Library's catalog, and not to worry, we work with all types of libraries. So we work with public libraries, academic, law, special libraries, and of all shapes and sizes, because we all have the same type of user that doesn't always want to ask where things are. So I've already done a search in this catalog. For those of you with Koha, this probably looks quite familiar to you. With the results, you'll notice there are these blue Map It buttons. So we put those blue Map It buttons right on the record so that if you want to go find this in the stacks, you can just click Map It. And now you can see that it is on the cellar floor. And if I want to zoom in, I can see right down to the side of the range in this particular library. It's in the International Collection, and it's on this last range on the very end. So we can map right down to the side of the range where it will be. We'll talk a little bit about creating your maps in a minute, but we do create custom maps for each integration. On the map itself, you can easily zoom in and zoom out. There are shareable map links. So if you're helping someone at the information desk and you would like to send this to their phone, send this to their email, maybe you're doing reference chat, that's a great way to share that map itself. You can also easily print this map. So if you're helping someone and think it might be beneficial to hand them a map to hold, you can definitely do that. Of course, this is all mobile responsive. So for anybody who is searching on their phone or wants to move over to their personal device, the maps will open up to fit their screen as well. Now, on the right side, there are text directions. These can be greatly modified. So if you want to make these a bit more detailed, talk about how to get to the floor. Maybe you have elevators that go to some floors and not others, or hidden staircases. Put that in your text directions. These can be modified so that anybody who maybe cannot see the map or read those directions, those will be read aloud to them by their own personal device. So if you have accessibility settings turned on, once you open the map button, those start reading aloud to the user. So those are super important. I always encourage people to kind of go that extra mile with their descriptions. The Map It button itself, that can be customized. So if you want that to say locate it or find it or something different, we're happy to do that. We can also change the color of the button. So if you would prefer that to be, so in this example, if they had wanted it to be like this red color, we could have done that for sure. We can also have that Map It button disappear when an item is checked out. And I think that's a nice extra indicator that the item is not available. Of course, it is nice and clear in the Koha catalog, the availability, particularly using the green color, but sometimes people just miss it. So that can also be a great way to let them know, if I see the map button, I can probably take it home today. So that's the Koha look and feel for StackMap. I'm going to jump over to an Aspen interface just to take a look at that. And it works very similar. Personally, I absolutely love the Aspen Discovery Layer. I think it's a beautiful catalog. I mean, everything is very visible. Once again, in this particular integration, this is Flagstaff Public Library. So I was able to pull out a public library example, and it looks similar. You'll notice that those blue Map It buttons that you saw in the last catalog, once again, they show right on the brief display here, which is awesome because not everybody clicks through to the full display. So I always love as much as possible out here. That's also simple. So if I want to go find this, once again, I can click Map It and I can see where that item will be right down to the side of the range. And you can see here, this is a different library. They have different style maps. Everybody likes something a little different. They went with something a little bit more architectural looking and a little more plain, which really highlights the ranges rather than a lot of other things. But it's the same text directions, same printing, sharing. It's very, very similar to the Koha integration. So that's what it looks like on the front end. The Map It buttons on both of the catalogs are also in the full record as well for those who are clicking through to the full record, but it's very visible and it's very easy to find your items. So let's just take a quick walk through the dashboard, discuss what goes into setting it up. So it takes 4 weeks for us to set up a StackMap integration. During that time, we only need 2 things from you. So we need some sort of a bird's eye view of your library. These could be floor plans, they could be architectural, they could be blueprints. The other thing we need is a spreadsheet. So we're going to provide a template spreadsheet for you to fill in the first and last call numbers of your ranges. Using that data, that's how we set you up. So you're going to see me do a few different things, but all we need from you are those preliminary floor plans and the call numbers. So first things first, we create your floor plans. We do create custom floor plans for each library. So what we'll have you do is send anything that you've got. So again, everyone has a fire escape plan. That's a great place to start. From there, we're going to take that and we're going to use your branding, add a key, highlight anything you would like, and create nice final maps for your integration. We'll have a conversation with you about that to figure out exactly what you want them to look like. Over to the right side, this is where you can start building those text directions to the library floors. You can add on as much as you would like. So no coding experience required. From here, we're going to add your ranges onto your maps. And again, we'll take care of this step for you. We'll ask you to draw where your collections are on the initial floor plans you send over. And then we're going to draw ranges as an overlay onto your map. So you'll see here, if I want to add 20 ranges to this map, I type in 20, click new group, and it shows up in the corner. From here, I can resize it and bring it onto the map. So all of these ranges will go onto your map as live overlays so that down the line, you can easily drag and drop them around. So maybe you're changing up your space. Feel free to use this as a planning tool. You can also add and subtract ranges very easily without having to download that floor plan and open it up in something like Publisher or Paint. You'll be able to take care of it right here. Now from here, your ranges are in place. You can easily move them around. Of course, more often than not, it's your collections that are actually going to move rather than those ranges that are typically bolted down. So let's talk about the collections on the range. I mentioned before that during the setup phase, we're going to ask you to fill in a spreadsheet with the first and last call numbers of your ranges. So not to worry, we don't need every single shelf. We need a full range. So what you have on your range signs currently, those signs on the end caps, that's what we're looking for. You might have that already collected. If not, we'll provide ways to quickly collect that. Once you have that in a spreadsheet and send it to us, we're going to upload your spreadsheet to the dashboard where every range in that spreadsheet will align with the ranges on your map. Now, down the line, if you ever need to, you can very easily update your ranges. If you ever need to, is a silly thing to say, you will need to, you're going to move things around. And you can very easily just log into here, click on a range and update the starting and ending call number. And the cool thing about having it all in here in the dashboard is that you can actually generate all of your range signs right from the dashboard as well. So typically when you shift your collection around, you collect that data to create new range signs. Now, instead of doing that, you'll just do it in the StackMap dashboard where you'll have a nice place to store that information and grab it whenever you need to. So it shouldn't add anything major to what you're currently doing. It's going to streamline it and organize it. So from here, the setup is just about complete. This would be when we start talking about the integration with Koha and Aspen. A couple of notes before I hand off to Jesse and Bill would be you do have unlimited support. So you can reach out to us at any time if you ever forgot how to do anything. We do training, so we'll do unlimited training with you. When you first get set up, we'll train anybody on your team that wants to learn the interface. Down the line, as you hire new people, let us know. And we're happy to also go over the interface with them. And there's a really great website where you can get 24/7 help if you're ever updating it and need to remember how to do something. So that's collection mapping. I'm going to hand off to Jesse, and then I'll talk a couple minutes towards the end about some of the other mapping that we can do. And I'll also pop in the chat while they're talking.
All right, this was wonderful. Alexa, two things. I did not know that you could tie in with screen readers. We often get that question for accessibility, making sure that, that users, when they're searching, if they need that extra enhancement, that they can see that. Oh, so that is wonderful. And of course, one of the reasons we love working with StackMap is the unlimited support. So just as Alexa has said, that same thing goes for the support with both Koha and Aspen Discovery. We will work with your team if you are implementing StackMap within the system. And what I'll do now is I will share my screen and I will walk through and show you what it will look like on both the Koha and Aspen side on the back end when users are setting this up. So the first thing that we'll see here is the Koha staff interface. Now, the Koha staff interface is connected into your system preferences. So I'm going to come back here. In administration, we have our global system preferences. Right now, we're taking a piece of snippet from the StackMap connection and we're putting that into the JavaScript. So if we go in here, and I'm just doing a basic search for JS, the system preference that we're looking for is the opaque user JS. And if we open that up, you'll see here, this is where we're grabbing that snippet. So it's actually taking what we just saw from Alexa, and we're bringing that in so that displays directly into the Koha opaque. So again, I have some examples up here, just as Alexa did. You're going to see it both on the detailed page. So when we're looking at that record, we'll see it under the status, just as Alexa showed us. And then, of course, also in the brief results page. As always, you can work with the team here at Bywater Solutions if you want to customize those colors, or depending on how large you want that button to be, you'll be able to easily view that information. And that's all driven from the system preference, opaque user JS. Now for Aspen Discovery, we are pulling in the StackMap integration through the JavaScript snippet. Now you'll see that in your administration, and then of course under your local catalog enrichment, this is where we're going to set up that integration. And as always, of course, we'll take that snippet from StackMap, bring it in so you can see that information. And again, I'll show the same example that Alexa showed earlier. So as for Flagstaff with Aspen Discovery, you're going to see it both on the search page. So you'll see it for those titles that are on shelf. So I can see in this case for Yes Please, I can see it both at the East branch and the main branch. And if I click on that map it, it's going to bring that information right up. And then we'll also see it on the grouped work or the detailed page of a particular record. So in this case, we're looking at a dark wood, and in the grouping together of the formats, any of the formats that are in the physical building itself, I'll be able to see that little button with the map it, so I can quickly find that information. And one of the really neat things I love about StackMap is, again, if it is checked out or it's not available, they don't see that button, they can of course come right in and place a hold on that item to meet that information or get it down the road when it becomes available. So if you are thinking about connecting to StackMap, essentially just send us a ticket and submit that in, and we'll direct it to either our Koha team or our Aspen Discovery team and begin that process of setting that information up in your system. All right, I'm gonna stop my share again, and I'm gonna pass it back to Alexa, where she's gonna talk a little bit more about collections.
Hi again. Isn't it? It's wild to me how just 4 to 5 lines of script can do all of this. Every time I'm always like, wow, it's
amazing.
It really is incredible. So just to touch on some of the other things that we can map as well. So continuing on the collections track, we do have an interface called Explore. And what this does is it puts all of your collections and all of your maps into one interactive kiosk mode. So this is great for putting on your touchscreens in your lobby if you have them, putting on your website so that people can browse the collection and also find spaces from home. I think we don't always think about the number of people that do really like to check out a space before going to it and kind of be familiar with the space. But this puts everything up front and allows you to browse the building by subject within the collection or even by place. So for example, maybe I'm walking into the library and I'm wondering, where are the restrooms? It's one of the number one questions when people walk into the library, where's the restroom? So if I were to walk into this building, what I could do is from the places list, I can click. So this is UC Dublin, so they have it as toilets. And here I can now see that they are across 5 of the floors. From here, I can drill down and see on the second floor, here's where they are. There are different tooltips on them that can be updated. And we do encourage you to definitely fill those in. If I want to find things like group study rooms, I can find those as well. Maybe I'm looking for the computer. As I click different areas on the places list, you'll notice that different areas are being highlighted. Maybe you have a program happening in a particular room that can be highlighted as well. If you want to also browse by subject, that is a possibility. So I always like to say, for people who are just browsing around or maybe not quite ready to jump into the catalog or discovery layer, this is great for just letting them figure out where to go for their areas of interest. Maybe they're looking for film and theater. They click on that, they can see where it is. Maybe they're looking for the law books. Again, they can continue to browse around and see that. I'm going to show you a public library example as well, because in theirs, I would say it's very places focused. So maybe there is a toddler story hour taking place in the family place. When I click on that, I can now see where the family place is. I can see that it is a room over here. If I want to go to the customer service desk to check something out, again, I can click on that and I can browse around different spaces of the building. This particular interface has less color, so I think it's a little bit easier as well to see some of the highlights. So I'm glad we're looking at this one as well. Maybe it's Sunday night and my child just decided they need to do a project, a biography project, and they are only telling us just now and it's due in 2 days. They don't know who they want to read about. If I go to J biography, I can see, okay, you want to go to this area of the library and walk around and find something and pick it out fast. So that's Explore. All of this is completely easy to edit and update. All of the tooltips on the places you can change names for. You can highlight where programs are happening of the day. You can really make a lot of this particular module. There is a back-end administrative dashboard as well. If you're interested in taking a look at that, I know that we've got about 30 minutes, so I want to give enough time for questions. So if you want to look at that sometime, shoot me an email and I'm happy to hop on a webinar with you to go over it. We also do computer availability mapping, which maps all of your computers and their availability as you might expect. So you'll see here, there are all of these green squares on this map. And the green squares are your computers. So the computers that are green are available. Computers that are red would be considered not available or in use. So as a user, I could easily go on your website and see how busy is the computer lab. A lot of our households are trending away from desktop computers and having more mobile devices. But of course, desktop computers are needed for, writing papers. I know people can do it on iPads. I certainly can't. But if you want to go to your desktop computer at your local library, you can see from home is now a good time. So this is great to access from the website. The way it works is we would provide you a script to push out to all of your computers. Likely that's something your IT department can do in one smooth step. With that script on the computer, as people log on to it using whatever computer management system you have, or perhaps they wake it up from a sleeping state, that event will trigger our API and change the color on the map. Of course, as I hover and click over a computer, I can also see the operating system. If you want to put a software list, that is totally editable. On the back end, you can move the computers around, update those tooltips, and also get some really nice, robust analytics just based on the use of the computer. No security implications there. We don't know who signed on. We don't know what they did. We just know that someone or something signed on and was using the computer for this amount of time. So we can get some nice information based on, popular OPAC, popular computer, what floors use the most, and we can share that with you. Lastly, we can map your study rooms and meeting rooms and integrate that with any sort of room reservation system that you're using. There are a lot of them out there. Most of them allow for some sort of an image upload for each of the individual rooms. The example we're using here is LibCal, and you'll see if I want to book a room here, I can book it using LibCal. If I want to know where it is, I can click on info, and this is where StackMap comes in. We put these maps in with pins showing where the room is in the building. So that's a pretty simple graphic implementation. And those are the 4 StackMap products: collection mapping, Explore, which is that kiosk mode interactive wayfinding module, computer availability, and lastly, room mapping, which integrates with your room reservation system. So I'm going to hand it back to Jessie, and I think we're taking questions.
Yeah, wonderful. So we've showed you just a quick background of what it looks like on both the patron side for Koha and Aspen Discovery, a little bit about what StackMaps does. Are there questions out there that we can answer from anyone?
So I saw one that came in, asked about using StackMaps on the staff side of Koha.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that question. So on the staff side, do you mean like in the checking and out and like the ILS part of it, the checking out, checking in? Yeah. It's really more so a patron focused product. It doesn't integrate with the ILS, and that's actually a good thing. Because it doesn't integrate with the ILS, there are no security implications there. We don't have any access to patron information, patron data. So we really just concentrate on the front end integration, the catalog or the discovery.
Okay, that's interesting because, with using a snippet of JavaScript, if we could put something on the back end for the staff users, that might be a conversation that we can continue down the road.
That's definitely something. I think that would be, as long as it's something that, security wise, you're okay with. I think that's something we could totally talk about.
Yep. Yeah. Privacy is always the number one discussion. That's great. Are there other questions that we can answer? I just also want to say, Alexa, while we're waiting for questions to come in, can you talk a little more about the kiosk that y'all launched?
Yeah.
That where, when people walk in, that they can search for? Because I think this is also something that we've become accustomed to, like when we go shopping at stores or, we're large entities where we can walk up and kind of navigate ourselves. Tell us what y'all do for libraries that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me open back up the Explore interface. So Explore is really cool because you can really use it however you would like. Ideally, this would go on a touchscreen as people are walking into the library so that they can interact with it to find different areas of the collection as well as different places in the library. But again, put it on your website. This is a great thing to share in your newsletter even, so that maybe you're opening a new building and you want to give people a sneak peek. There are so many different ways that we think of to use this and that people are starting to use it for. So let's actually look at the dashboard for Explore, because there are so many ways to customize it and use it in your library. So back into the dashboard that we were using for collection mapping, we actually use the same dashboard. I'm going to just toggle over to Explore. I signed myself out. Here we go. So here in Explore, to set that up, what we ask for is some sort of a subject list or a collections list based on your collection. So in a public library, I would say, let's start, very broad. Let's go with some of the major collections that you're asked for. So for example, in the children's room, you're asked for fairy tales, dinosaurs, biographies, and there are a few other major ones. So let's definitely go based on what your patrons are asking for. In an academic environment, I say, let's start with your majors and minors. So we have you create a subject list for your collection. You can add and subtract from this at any point. So different times of year, you might want to talk about summer reading areas or, other areas of your collection based on school projects. So to associate those subjects with your ranges, it's very simple. You can click on a subject. From here, all of your collection data is going to move in from your collection mapping. So you'll see all of your list of ranges along with a call number preview. So for somebody who's savvy with call numbers, let's pretend these are Dewey and they say 900. I'm going to know if I'm matching history to the collection, I'm going to check off all of the ranges that have some sort of a 900 call number. So that's a way that we quickly match those subjects with your call number ranges. There's also another way to do it, starting with the map. So I can click on a range on the map, and from there, I can just check off the subjects or the material types that apply. And again, I do want to reiterate that your subject list, you can put material types instead if you would like, because you also have people just asking, where are the books on CD? So mix that up, make it a whole bunch of different collection names. Whatever your users are asking for, we want to put that in there. We'll take care of all of the coordination of what is where when we set you up, but down the line, you can easily change that as you need to. For the places is really neat because you can make of this what you would like. And what I mean is, when we first set you up, we're going to highlight everything that's an obvious place to us. So something with 4 walls is probably going to be a place. So we will highlight all of those things in the dashboard for you. When you sign into it, we're going to ask you to just go through each of those and name it. Say what it is. Is it a study room? In the description, let us know what kind of technology is in there. How many people are in there? What's the capacity? Put as much as you would like in there, because those tooltips are going to be visible on the front end. And if I go back to one of these, you'll see this tooltip. That's what you can completely fill in and edit. On certain days, you might decide to duplicate those places. So for example, my favorite one is the Borkowski reading room. A lot of people are probably coming in not actually asking for the Borkowski reading room, but it's called that because somebody donated and it's named after them. So let's call the Borkowski reading room, but let's also take that selection. Let's duplicate it once, and let's name it what people are actually asking for, which is the toddler story hour. So this is a really great way to also, connect with your users, start naming your places after what your users are actually calling them. And that way, signage gets out of date very easily. You're constantly replacing paper signage. This is digital signage that you're able to easily update at any time using the dashboard. And you can even just make quick places that you can delete later on in the day. So if you're trying to create a meeting point for a group that's coming in, or you have a big speaker series that's happening, highlight this space of the library where they're supposed to go and label it that. And you can easily remove it later just by clicking on it and deleting it. So that's a little more context for the Explore situation. Any questions at all?
So we do have a couple. So one came in, it says, can you hide a section of the map? Example, the technical services department on the first floor, which is not visible or accessible to the public.
Yes, you can definitely do that. In fact, I believe it was Flagstaff that had kind of a good example of that. So if I look on their map, so see those grayed out areas? Those are all technical services and staff offices. So what we can do is sometimes people like to use shading on their maps just to show that they're not actually patron usable spaces. If you don't want them on the map at all, though, we don't have to put them on the map at all. So that's totally up to you. But I think that the use of shading is nice because people know, you know, this is the full footprint of the library. And then we can completely black that out so they can't even see any of the rooms. In this particular one, they just didn't really put any major information. They just kind of graded out. What's the other question?
So the other one has to do with Aspen Leda. It says, how user-friendly is StackMap with Aspen Leda? And I'm not sure if you know that. I was going to ask that one internally.
Yeah, that's gonna. I'm not sure what Aspen Leda is.
It's the Aspen app.
Oh, okay. So typically speaking, I mean, we've integrated with apps in the past, so I'm just not sure that we've done it yet with you guys. So let us know. We're happy to work on that with you.
Awesome.
And Hannah, we'll find that answer out. If we don't have it before the end of this, we'll send you an email on that.
Any other questions?
I think that might be it.
That's what it looks like. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Oh, Alexa, thank you for coming and talking a little bit about how StackMaps works and how it can integrate with Koha and Aspen. If anyone has questions, we have both Alexa's and Bill's contact information up there. We can set up a time to do a personalized demo. I know Alexa would be happy to do one, and you can reach out to Bill for both Koha or Aspen, and we'd be happy to set something up.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Alexa. Thank you, Bill, for handling the questions.
Thank you.
Have a great day.